Well, I have now read chapters 23 through 31. And this is this is a moment in A Clash of Kings where the story really starts becoming myth, just really mythic. Not politics, not strategy, not even survival, but song. In these chapters we get the tale of Durran and Elenai, a man who loved a woman so deeply that he declared war on the gods themselves. And as I read it, I couldn't help but think of the story of Beren and Luthien in the Silmarillion. There's differences, but there's also similarities too. A love that defies death, defies fate, defies even an order of creation. But here's the difference. In Tolkien, that love transforms the world. But in Martin, the storm never stops. And yet, the castle still stands. Now, these chapters are obsessed with power, but not true power. Broken power, false power, performative power. If we look at Theon in these chapters, he returns home expecting to be a prince, but instead he's exposed, he's humiliated, he's outplayed by his sister Asha before he even realizes the game has begun. We read, "You land here and think to prince, but you know nothing and no one." That line cuts to the heart. Theon believes power is birthright, appearance, and identity. But the Ironborn understand something darker. That power is taken, not given. And then we move to King's Landing, with Tyrion and Cersei and Varys all playing the same game. Truth doesn't matter, only narrative, leverage, perception. And yet Tyrion sees the danger. Remember, last time I quoted this, but it's a great quote. Tyrion said, "When you tear out a man's tongue, you're only telling the world you fear what he might say." And like I said last time, that reminds me strongly of C.S. Lewis's The Abolition of Man. Because when truth is no longer objective, power becomes the only reality. That's exactly what we're seeing in this section. But then we contrast that with the North, with Jon Snow, with Craster. And this may be one of the darkest moral sections of the book so far. Because Craster, one, sacrifices his sons, rules absolutely, and answers to no law but himself. And the horror is not just that he exists, it's that everyone knows. All the Rangers know, though few will talk of it. And then we get a devastating line from Mormont. We cannot set the world to rights. That's the philosophy of the Watch. Duty without intervention. Law without mercy. And it reminds me of C.S. Lewis's The Four Loves. Because in The Four Loves, Lewis describes that when morality is severed from charity, it becomes cruelty. That's Stannis Baratheon. And that's Craster. Both are men of law. Both are rigid. But both are also wrong. Because they lack love. They lack charity. Their lack of charity has led them to cruelty. And then we get Jon's encounter with Gilly, I believe she's a wildling girl. And it's one of the most heartbreaking moments that I've come across. Because she believes something fairly simple, but something that should be true. They say the king protects the weak. And of course, Jon is unable to do that. But not because he doesn't care, but because he's bound. That's the tragedy of good men in broken systems. Jon wants to act. He knows what's right. But he says, we're here to fight wildlings, not save them. And that line is a bit disturbing. I think it's supposed to be disturbing. Because it echoes Mormont. It echoes the Watch. It echoes the system. And it reminds me of Tolkien. In The Lord of the Rings, the greatest heroes are the ones who break the system for the sake of mercy. Gandalf does. Frodo does. And Sam does. But Jon is not able to. And I wonder if that's going to come back. I can't help but think that it's not. I think Jon is going to at some point. And then we come to Arya. And if Jon represents restrained goodness, I think Arya represents something else entirely. Because in this section, she essentially becomes the ghost of Harrenhal. She says, it wasn't Harren, it was me. This is a turning point. Because Arya is no longer just surviving. She's choosing vengeance, choosing death, choosing identity through violence. And yet she still remembers her father. She remembers how he had said, she had heard him say to Jon and the others, if you would take a man's life, you owe it to him to look him in the face. That tension is everything. Because Arya is standing between two worlds, between justice and vengeance. And she's beginning to cross over. Then we finally come to Dany. We haven't been to her in a long time, it feels like. And here something changes. The world that Master Luwin insists is dying isn't dying. It's returning. And Dany sees it clearly. Before, the 7 kingdoms were won. Now they fly to pieces. And I'm reminded of another thing in Tolkien's world. I mentioned it before, but that creation itself is music. Because when harmony breaks, chaos follows. Before, the 7 kingdoms were won, now they fly to pieces. When harmony breaks, chaos follows. Dany's not just a conqueror, she's a response to disorder. She's a new note in the song. But the tension is, she wants beauty. She says, I want my people to smile when they see me ride by. But she knows that she must conquer first. And that's the danger. Because in this world, even good intentions can burn cities. And then we come to what I think is the heart of this section. And that's what I began with. Durran and Elenai. And I don't think this is just backstory. And this is, at least so far, maybe the soul of this second book. A man loves a woman. The gods destroy his world. He rebuilds. And then again. And again. And again. Until finally, something endures. This is where Martin meets Tolkien directly. Because Beren and Luthien also defy the Valar. They also challenge death. And they also insist that love is stronger than fate. But the crucial difference is, Tolkien says love redeems the world. Martin says love survives, but the storm continues. Storm's end stands, not because the storm ended, but because something stronger refused to yield. Now, we come to Stannis and Renly. If we place that myth next to them, next to Stannis and Renly, 2 kings, 2 claims, both wrong. Renly has charisma, love of the people, but no legitimacy. Stannis has legitimacy, law, but no love. And Catelyn sees it clearly. She says, if you were sons of mine, I would bang your heads together. This is the tragedy, because neither represents what a king should be. And Stannis says it plainly. He says kings have no friends. Kings only have subjects and servants. That's the world now. Power without love, law without mercy, victory without meaning. And yet, in the middle of all this, there are still echoes of something older. Jon's wanting to do right. Arya's remembering justice. Dany is dreaming of beauty. And Durran refusing to yield. The world's breaking. Powers corrupting. Truths being twisted. But the question of this section is not who will win, Rather, it's what will endure. Because in a world of lies, in a world of storms, in a world where even the dead begin to walk, there is still somewhere a song that refuses to die. So, if you're reading along with me, let me know, do you think Westeros is losing its magic? Or is something far older waking up? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll see y'all next time.